Thank you so much for having me here. I'm going to try and stand to one side so I don't have my shadow on the slides. Um, I have this is a brand new deck that goes alongside our current announcement of the Boundless Foundation. What it is, why is it, why does it exist, our connection to Risk Zero and our growth plans and where we're headed. I hope everyone sort of recognizes the picture here, pulling back the curtain. It's from Wizard of Oz, 1933. Was not in Khan. I actually thought it was. I found out later after making the slide. So, yeah, but I'm not changing the slides anymore. So this is me. My name is Shiv. I'm the CEO of Boundless. I oversee product engineering, at this point, marketing, strategy, dinner choices. I make all the jokes. Everyone has to laugh at the company, and also merch. And this is my background. That side is all Web 2, and I eventually ended up in Web 3. I did a lot of work in database systems, distributed web services, then moved into management and executive leadership, and then helped manage engineering orgs at Coinbase, launch countries, Japan. I launched India for like 3 hours until we got shut down, which is whatever. Then I moved to Risk Zero, and of course now my journey takes me to Boundless. Yeah, so as I just said, my leadership experience is in building markets, and that's what really Boundless is. Building markets for digital goods, physical goods, services, all of that. I am actually older than I look, and I feel much older than I should. I think that's a feeling a lot of people can relate to. Today I want to talk about the 3 W's, the why, the what, and the who of Boundless. But before that, a little bit of like a story about Risk Zero itself, like how did it start? Everyone knows Risk Zero is the world's first ZK VM, that we basically invented the category, but it does have a pretty interesting and fun story. A lot of people, are quite used to Web3 companies coming out of New York and San Francisco. We are based out of Seattle, home of AWS, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud, Facebook's infrastructure team, Robinhood's infrastructure team. So it's like a security and infrastructure hub. And Jeremy, who is the co-founder of Risk Zero, who's also a self-taught mathematician. He never went to college, just decided to start teaching himself math to advance the field. He goes out with his 2 hacker friends, Frank and Brian, and brings out Eli's paper. And he's like, guys, you need to read this. It's so cool. This is going to change the world, which is great. Frank and Brian, of course, being devs, they're like, cool. So how do I don't know, what do I do? And they're like, oh, you have to write circuits. They're like, yeah, screw that shit. We didn't spend 20 years learning Rust and Golang and high-level programming languages to go back and start writing circuits. And that's when Jeremy went back and thought about how he can get his friends to get involved with ZK. And that's when the ZK VM came into existence in Jeremy's head, and being the skilled engineer and researcher that he is, came out as a product. So the ZK VM existed, great, but Risk Zero didn't really have a background in Web3. Weirdly enough, blockchain and Web3 came after us. When we announced the ZK VM, and since ZK has always been early in blockchain, people recognized the ability of the ZK VM to change the landscape, and everyone started coming to us and saying, oh, you guys need to do more. You guys need to figure out how you can launch ZK VMs in Web3, make it more usable for our use cases. And that's really the journey that takes us to Boundless. Why Boundless? Right? Risk Zero invented the ZK VM, and now there are 34, 35? It's probably 39 by the time I finish this conversation, which is great for us. We always knew this was going to happen. We're an open source first company. We build on standards. We chose RISC-V, we chose Rust, because not only were we more familiar with this stack, but we also knew they were stable. That's how you build companies. But there's not a lot of moat in building an open source platform and making it available to everybody. We were hoping that everybody's going to pick that up and start innovating on that front, and that's happening. That's great for us. But as a entity or a business, and I do believe all of us should be talking about ourselves as businesses and not just projects. As a business, we have 2 challenges. We have to do discovery across 2 axes, depth and breadth. And as a company that, like Risk Zero, which has a lot of expertise in going deeper, we weren't investing enough time in going broad. And that's why we have Boundless, really. It's a product offering that goes to every chain. This is the standard sort of sentence I put on a slide. It is all-encompassing. Boundless is a set of smart contracts, novel cryptographic primitives, and off-chain infrastructure deployed across all blockchains. The way to actually think about this is like the way Chainlink brings oracles to every chain, we bring ZK to every chain in your native DevX. That's basically what this slide says, and that's what Boundless is. That allows us to go broad. Go to every chain, go to every builder, and figure out what you need, and build everything that you need to get you started in building your ZK application, and also increase the adoption of ZK, which is the ultimate goal of Boundless. Who is Boundless, right? So that's also an interesting thing that is worth sort of thinking about. Historically, when people do foundations and devcos and all these splits, you have like a very thin foundation, which basically gives out grants, and there's like a little bit of BD thrown in. We're a full stack company. We have sales, we have product, engineering, marketing, and also the last line, which I'm particularly proud of, forward deployed engineering. Folks who are familiar with Palantir and their business model for growth, that's really our business model as well. I have a lot of friends who work at Palantir. My wife managed a lot of forward deployed engineers as well. And I really do think that is the way forward in terms of building a company that is trying to push adoption of a new technology, because there's a lot of last mile issues in our space. Actually, I lied. Like, as I was making my slides, I was like, oh yeah, 3 Ws doesn't really cut it. The next most important thing that everyone starts asking me is like, okay, cool, this is all great. When is it coming out? When is Boundless? We should be going towards our testnet. And I'm putting it under double quotes because like we're not an L1 or an L2. So the concept of a testnet is odd to us. But in the next few weeks, like we are going to be live. Jacob, who's sitting right there, who's our product lead, at some point is going to, you can reach out to him or me, and like we can have like a longer form conversation around like what the testnet is going to be. It's going to be quite explosive. We do expect to see trillions of cycles. We are going to create a lot of value with real funds and show everybody the power of ZK in actually solving a problem for blockchain and how you can actually build products on top of it. And that's going to be like super duper interesting. Of course, after we go on testnet, it's going to be like roadmap education. We want to like really do some stress testing. There's always going to be UI elements that people are not going to like. Fix all of that and then go to mainnet. And what does mainnet actually look like? It's a permissionless, fully decentralized ZK protocol for all your needs. That's really what I want everybody to take from this presentation when you go back and talk to your teams and talk to your project managers, product managers, CEOs, or whatever. It's like, oh, we need ZK. These guys have packaged it for us, so it's simpler for us to use and build. We don't know how to build this stuff. They can offer forward deployed engineers to like help us. That's really the thing that I want you to like take back from this presentation. And of course, we have quite a lot of like announcements after mainnet as well. We have a bunch of special projects that we're going to like unleash. And that's what really pulling back the curtain is. I was thinking about like what kind of presentation, like is really useful for a crowd, because you can actually go ask ChatGPT to summarize everything about Boundless and Risk Zero. So what exactly am I here to do? I want to give you some insight into what I tell investors, what I tell people who ask me one-on-one, like, okay, how do you guys plan to grow? How do you guys plan to like increase your demand and so on? Internally, between the C-suite, like all our projects actually have numerical names. And what you see outside is only 15% of like what we're working on. It is quite a lot, but I do want to like pull back the curtain and talk a little bit about the remaining 85%. There we go. Yeah, so that's like another one. How does Boundless actually win? Project X, or Project 10, it's a Roman numeral. This is very publicly available, and we do state to everybody that by the end of the year, we do want to see a 10x bump in performance and a 10x reduction in costs. Boundless as a protocol, because of proof of verifiable work, which is our own innovation and how our network is run, provides subsidy effects for proving that is going to radically reduce the cost of proving. And that's fantastic. In the meantime, Jeremy, who safely avoided the heat of Cannes, is sitting at 70 degrees in Seattle, finishing the V3 circuit of our ROVM, which is going to give us another 3, 4, 5x in performance bumps. Not to mention Binius-based proof systems, which is our exclusive partnership with Irreducible. And then that takes us into ASICs. Once you have Binius and ASICs, it's basically game over in terms of performance. That is a conversation that completely closes out. So that's Project X, and something that the RIS0 team is going to keep chasing. Then Project 30. This is our approach towards DevX. One of the key KPIs that we actually follow internally inside the company is how can you go from concept to production in 30 days? Hence the name 30. We already built out a bunch of things that make it easier and easier for people to either convert your existing rollup into a validity rollup. Steel, which is a library that sort of allows you to access chain state directly inside the ZKVM with very minimal code. And of course, we also have the next big thing, which I'm not ready to sort of announce because A, it doesn't have a name, and we haven't gotten into a stage where I want to announce what we can power with it. But really, our goal by the end of the year is to allow for people to build out their application in under 30 days. If you think about what the kind of companies that talk like this, it's AWS, it's Shopify, it's companies that Apple, Android. That's really the way that we are thinking about this. How do we get more people to build ZK applications? The more people use ZK, the more successful we'll be, the more revenue we can drive, and it did say revenue into our protocol. This is another project. It's Project 1. This is coming really, really soon, and probably it's going to be the next big announcement after our testnet. And we've already sort of alluded to it in our foundation announcement as well. Yeah, I don't want to say more, otherwise the marketing team is going to get all angry with me. Let's try this one. Yeah, this is something that I'm particularly proud of. We call it Project 42. Because 42, if you've read Hitchhiker's Guide, is the answer to everything. Is how exactly do we get more and more demand into our protocol? How do we actually build out killer applications? The whole point of Project 42 is to figure out killer applications. I was actually one of 3 devs who built Spotify's first mobile client. It was built on Windows Mobile 6.5 because they were like, we don't even know if it's possible. Can you guys build out a prototype for us? And we did. And if you remember, that was the first killer app for the iOS apps ecosystem. So what is our killer app? Now, the easy answer is DeFi. Do some more perp trading, do some more sort of financial transfer assets from one place to another. I want us to think out of the box. So we're going to spend specific resources, and this is something that I'm going to coordinate myself to get a killer app out pretty soon. And this is our, it's funnily enough, CLI, it just happens to be CLI. CLI in Roman numerals is 151. This is our 3-year plan. Boundless is a 2-sided marketplace. You create demand, and you also need supply. You need tremendous amounts of supply if you want to scale up to AWS scale. How do you do that? You have to start planning now. You have to build the strategic relationships with not just investors, but hardware manufacturers and all of that as well. So this is a really long game plan that we have put in place to scale Boundless. My hope is that in 3 years, when I come here and the conference is bigger and everything is going even better, we'll have more projects. But also, on a timely basis, I do want to start giving out updates to everybody in our community and the community at large about our progress on these fronts. Yeah, so that's me. I think I'm finishing right on time. So any questions? Happy to answer. Yeah, that's a little joke there. It's just because no one wants to see LinkedIn here.